you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reading All That We Never Were by Alice Kellen. It's pretty thick, but it's okay because I'm going to eat this up. Like, I've ate this up literally today, and I just started it yesterday when I bought it. And I stayed up to read this book, even though it was like 35 pages or something, which is cool because we're on page 131. Ooh, that's very cool. Oh, no, we're on page 132. And look, the next page is 133. So 133. And the chapter is Axel's POV, which is chapter 33. Isn't that so cool? I'm gonna take a picture of that, but we're gonna start reading. So it says, I looked at her, lying on the board. I watched how she caught a wave and moved through it with her body leaning forward with her legs flexed, keeping her balance as she climbed the wall. I smiled when she fell and swam over. No one would guess you haven't practiced in a year. Leah looked at me gratefully and climbed her board. We stayed there in silence, looking at the morning breaking over the horizon. There wasn't many waves. Why now? Why at dawn? Don't you think surfing's a great way to start the day? I guess. When did you start? I don't know. I'm lying. I do. It was because of your father. You want to hear the story? She hesitated, but eventually agreed. It was years ago. I was kind of disappointed in myself. You know what that's like, Leah. The feeling you failed, that no matter how hard you try, you're not finding what you need. Anyway, he came to see me that one afternoon. I had just bought the house, and I don't know if you know this, but I did it because I fell in love with it, or worse, I fell in love with the idea of all the things I was going to do here. But it didn't work out that way. Douglas bought a few beers and we sat on the porch. Then he asked me a question I didn't want to hear. If you'd been painting, she guessed in a whisper. I said no, I hadn't. Someday, Leah, someday I'll explain to you why. And maybe then you'll learn to treasure who you are. I sighed. I told him what was going on, and Douglas understood. He always did. That night he helped me to put the easel up in the closet and put away all the paintings I had scattered around myself. Wait, sorry. I was reading another line. I had scattered around the living room. I cleared off my desk and decided to devote myself to something else. I went on talking for a while about everything and nothing, about life. You know how your father was. When he left, I stayed out on the porch all night, counting the stars and drinking and thinking, this is going to hurt. Leah murmured, yeah, because that night. I understood there was no point in being unhappy, and at some point, however much it hurts you to go on living, you're not going to understand that too. You're going to understand that too. I realized that I had to enjoy every day. I thought the best way to start was focusing on what I liked the most. Surfing, the sea, the sun. Then I would make it standing up as I went along. But I would choose pleasure, little things, music, calm. I would choose things that fulfilled me. But nothing fulfills me, Axel. That's not true. Lots of things fulfill you, but they're all related to your past, your patterns, and you don't want to go back there, so you avoid them. But weirdly, you're still stuck in that moment. Does that strike you as ironic? Leah looked out at the waves while the early morning sun caressed her skin and created shadows and bright spots on the canvas of her face. I felt that tingling again in my fingertips. Again, I thought someone should draw her at that very instant, sitting on her surfboard, back straight, face sad. I guess you're right, but I can't. With time you will, Leah, trust me. How? It always hurts, always. There are three ways to live life. There are people who think about the future. You've probably known lots of them. Those people who spend the whole day worried about things that haven't happened yet. The illness they might suffer one day and so on. They'll always have goals, but they almost enjoy reaching them more than whatever it was they had to get there. They had to do to get there. They save money, and that's a good thing. But they do it for that big trip we're going to take someday, or the home we're going to try to buy when we retire. A smile pulled at the lip of her lips. What? A smile pulled at the corner of her lips. Your mother's a little like that, she said. My mother is completely like that. And it's not bad to look ahead, but sometimes it's frustrating because what if something happened tomorrow? For 20 years, she's been dreaming of going alone, and my father's tried to get her to several times, but she always finds an excuse to put it off because, from her point of view, traveling is never a priority. That's right, it's always a lark. What she should do is dip into her savings. Go and live that experiment. Go and live that experience now, this very month. You're right, Leah said. Then there's the people who live in the past. People who have suffered, who've been harmed. Sorry, I don't know. Who've been harmed, who've been scared by something, people stuck in a reality that no longer exists, and I think that's the saddest thing of all. Knowing that one moment all the things that are gone because of it, all the things that only exist in their memory will always be with them. That's me, right? She asked very softly. Yeah, that's you. Life has taken its course and you've been left behind. I get that, Leah. I know that after what happened, it was impossible for you to gather your strength and get back up. Still more, you don't want to. I've been thinking this over these days, trying to understand how it must be easier for you to give up than to face your pain. But then I guess you just made the decision. How did it happen? I don't know. It's not like there was a concrete moment. Are you sure? Not some kind of breaking point? I remember those first days after the incident. Leah was in the hospital and had cried and shouted in my mother's arms as she held her as tight as she could, trying to calm her down. All that had been pain in its maximum expression, the kind you feel when you lose the people who matter most to you in the world. Nothing out of the ordinary, not even during the funeral. That's how losses, mourning, grief, and then, as time passes, you lick your wounds, you assimilate what's happening, and the change and the changes it brings into your life, and what you left behind, the implications of it. That's a step she never took. She got stuck in the earlier phase in mourning. She spent so long soaking in that grief that a part of her subconscious must have thought it was easier to build a fence and isolate herself, and instead find calm that way. I told you, there wasn't a moment when things changed, she answered, and I realized she was being sincere. She grabbed the surfboard when a stronger wave moved us. You're missing one, Axel. Talk to me about the third way of living. The present. You can go on having memories. That's not bad. It's not bad to think about the future sometimes either. But most of the time, the mind shouldn't be dealing with the past or something that might not happen, but instead on the here and now. That's you, she smiled at me. I try. Look around. Look at the sun, the colors of the sky, the sea. Is it not fucking incredible when you really stop to look at it all? Is it not fucking incredible when you really stop to look at it all? When you feel it, Leah, the feeling of being in the water, the scent of the beach, the warm breeze. She closed her eyes and her face fulfilled with peace, because she was next to me feeling the same thing I felt, fixed in the moment and not on anything else. Like a tack in the wall that doesn't move, that doesn't go forward or backward, but just remains. Don't open your eyes, Leah. Why? Because now I'm going to show you something important. She remained still. There was no sound. All we had around us was the sea and the sun up high. And in the middle of that calm, I started laughing. And before she could figure out what was happening, I pushed her off her board. "Why'd you do that?" she shouted. "Why not? I was getting bored. What's your problem?" She jumped up at me and my head went under before I dragged her down with me to the bottom. We emerged a few seconds later. Leah was coughing. I was laughing. At that moment, just as the sun was about to fully rise, I realized how close we were, that I had an arm around her waist, and that, for some reason, this was now as comfortable to me as it used to be. Years ago when Leah would come and surf with Oliver and me, whatever the occasion, I let her go. Nervous. "We should go ahead and get out, or you'll be late to school." This from the guy who just shoved me off my surfboard like a little boy. I almost forgot how much you liked talkback. Leah blew out a breath, unable to hide her smile. I really like that chapter. And I feel like I really felt connected to it and everything, because it was just how I feel like the description that Axel was adding into, the three ways to live life was so peaceful to hear, and also like not to eat myself, or anything like that, but just how I was saying it and like in a calm voice and everything like that, like my tone was like, I feel like it added like a little spark, so it made me feel like, I don't know. I also liked the way how Leah reacted to, the to what he was talking about. I liked how she wasn't like all negative about you know what he was saying, because she was in saying, oh, don't tell me that stupid stuff. And she was like hearing him say that and stuff like that. And then once the next wave came, she was like, hey, you'll miss this one, but keep talking. You know, I want to hear the third reason why. And it was so peaceful. I really liked that. And then how he broke the ice. You know, it was like a full peaceful moment, but then he broke the ice, kinda, to like, I don't know. I really liked that. And I liked how they were like surfing and everything, and it was perfect. It was perfect. Perfect, okay? It was perfect. A1. So if you guys liked this video, make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and share. We would really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great day today, or have a good day today. I don't know your time zone, so don't come for me. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.